Get real close to the TV, kids.
It's Josh and Frankie with a couple of dumb shits.
Hello, Primates! You found Primus Tracks. Congratulations. But it's not just any Primus Tracks episode today. No, sir. You have reached us on the day of Coverpalooza. And to help me with Coverpalooza, because I have no idea what's going on, is Frankie. Hello, Frankie.
Hi, Josh.
Frankie, what's the deal with Coverpalooza?
These are songs which we would never discuss otherwise on the show, so why not put all of them together in a single place and tackle them out of the way?
I think that's a pretty good idea, and why not bring in some musical pros to help us understand what in the world we're listening to? 3 men of distinction, 3 men of grace, and 3 men whose voices you've heard on this podcast before, but they're all together this time, and this is pretty fun for me. So I'm happy to welcome into Coverpalooza the men of lespecial, Rory, Johnny, Luke.
Ooh, thanks for having us.
What's up, guys?
Boys? Don't sound too excited over there. Gee whiz. You're only going to be tested on, I think it's 15 cover songs that you may or may not have heard Primus perform / Les Claypool. So no pressure today, guys.
This is the Frankie masterclass, man. We're here for it. Can't wait.
That's right. Totally. This isn't some 101. You're basically at doctoral level today. So you'll be defending your thesis, and the committee will determine whether you get honorary Primus Tracks degrees today. A couple of things before we start. Rory, have you recovered yet?
I think I'm just about there where, it's been a couple weeks. I realized it wasn't a dream. It actually did happen. Feeling pretty good.
Okay.
I can remember it as something that actually happened now, which is great.
So your therapist really helped you a lot, is what I'm hearing. I probably shouldn't put that on the air.
Weekly endeavor,
That's right. Baby steps sometimes.
I was upstairs when it happened, and I'm still have a little bit of lingering PTSD.
Dude, it was so good. I gotta say, I am obviously biased.
Great listen. Yeah.
My drummer, my buddy I've been seeing Primus with since we were 15. But it was the most interesting, enjoyable podcast interview I've ever heard with Les Claypool. So hats off, gentlemen. And anybody who hasn't heard it, check that out. I'm sure if you're listening to this podcast right now, you have. But the episode with Les Claypool and Adam Gates is incredible. So nicely done, boys. It
was pretty incredible in the moment, too. It was a lot of fun. Thanks for that. And then, Johnny, you've got something going on with the Music Cellar. Do you mind telling our audience about that?
Oh, wow, that's so nice. So the Music Cellar is our music school and also our rehearsal space and studio. We do recording there. We're trying to buy it. COVID has brought upon this area in Northwest Connecticut / the Hudson Valley, New York, an influx of, out-of-towners, and real estate's going up and things are selling. And we're trying to get on the good side of that wave and purchase it so we can keep teaching kids Primus tunes and stuff. So there's a GoFundMe. Maybe Josh will link it for me. But thanks very much, guys, for helping with that.
That's right. Yeah, we'll send people your way. We'll point people your direction for sure on that. It's quite a noble endeavor, and I was happy to throw some corn your way, guys. So I really hope that comes to fruition real soon for you.
Josh, you were in the Music Cellar, albeit virtually, to introduce the Frizzle Fry stream, but you were kind of there.
Oh, I was there, all right. Sorry about your ham sandwich, dude. It was good. It was real good. You put on just the right amount of mustard. We're bros in that regard, for sure.
But we do appreciate you guys shouting it out, and anybody to check out the Music Cellar GoFundMe. It is more important now than ever to keep passing music down to the next generation, and they want us to stop teaching kids the diminished fifth interval. And as long as we keep hanging out, talking about Primus, and teaching kids the diminished interval, we will.
That's right. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. Working in public education, I've seen that so many arts and music programs are the first to be cut anytime that the budget is reduced. So any opportunity for kids to get their hands on an instrument or learn something beyond the brick and mortar of school is pretty important. So I appreciate what you guys are doing for kids.
Guys, I'm very curious about something. I mean, the streaming event was absolutely phenomenal, and I can't even begin to imagine all the amount of work that goes behind learning those songs, which are not easy to begin with. But I mean, you're playing for Primus fans, and of course they're going to notice if even a single note is different to the studio recording, so you had to nail it down perfectly. Of course, I mean, you must be exhausted after doing that, and you have your own music to focus on, which is pretty great. But I'm wondering if you ever were to tackle another Primus album, which one would it be?
Well, I'll just put it this way. Yesterday I said to the guys that we only have to learn like 4 more songs off of Seas of Cheese, and then we would kind of have all the songs.
We'd have to learn Is It Luck? Oh, for me, I'd have to learn Is It Luck?
Is It Luck, 11, wait a second, Fish On. Those are like the big ones. So those are the 3 behemoths.
So that means you guys already have Jury down.
Yeah, we got Jerry. We played a bunch of those tunes. We've played Bastards. We've played... Oh, we got to do Sergeant Baker, too. We've never done that. We've done Bastards. We've done Jerry. We've done American Life. We've done Tweakers, Tommy. We've never done Southington Waltz, you know.
Grandpa's Little Ditty.
I wonder why.
That one, we haven't busted that one out yet.
We actually did do Tommy the Cat as well, so that's like...
Yeah, that's true. It's funny. I have a little tape cassette player down here, and I've got a little tape recorder. I used to go to Rory's house after school, and we would play music, and I have a tape that says Seas in its entirety, and it's our attempt at playing all of Seas of Cheese in its entirety. It's more just like little like riffs from every song, you know? But hey, it's another project. It's something we've been talking about since we were kids, and to be able to try and do that one day would be a really fun challenge. So, you never know.
Am I right in assuming that if you guys were to cover Seas of Cheese back-to-back, Tommy the Cat would be the song to be the most nervous about?
Well, with Soya around, yeah.
I mean, dude, what would be tricky is, it's the hardest way to play Tommy is on the rainbow bass. I've played it both ways. I played it on my 4-string, and I've played it on my 5-string fretless, way harder on the fretless. Mm-hmm. I also don't like the sound as much. I much prefer, for me, my favorite Tommy the Cat is the rhinoplasty version, that breakneck speed Fender tone. But that would be challenging, to a lot of those songs, just like the Fish On, you know, some of those sounds he gets out of the fretless on that are wild. So that was Frizzle Fry. I had every song was 4-string, so I didn't have to go into that territory. But, you know, we've done Jerry before, we've done Mud, we've done a couple fretless tunes, but that would be no simple feat.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you guys, if any of you or all 3 of you are feeling bashful and you need somebody to sing in the shower for Granddads, I'm in. I'll take care of it for you.
Oh, you're already locked in to introduce it if it happens.
For those of you listening, because you're not seeing the video, I'm already taking my clothes off. Great, man. Yeah, that Frizzle stream was just phenomenal for me. I had a great time. We talked about it a little bit on the podcast with Rory, I believe, but really great. So go to YouTube, search for lespecial Frizzle Fry, and you will find an hour of primacy delights. We'll put it that way. What a great time that was. So thanks to you guys for doing that, for sure.
Thank you guys for having it.
Yeah.
Thank you for the shout-out, but from my perspective, there were actually 2 shout-outs. I mean, one was more explicit, but we had just recorded Parrot a while before. So when Rory began playing Parrot on the drums, I thought, wow, is that for Josh?
That's what I thought, too. He's doing it for me.
Totally for you, Josh.
That was all for you, J-Man.
All for you.
But yeah, and everybody from Primus Tracks too, all the listeners that came and found that stream as well, I have to shout out. It's awesome being a part of this community, and all the respect. And to get as little negative feedback on YouTube as we did was, I'd say it was a victory overall.
Well, when you do play it note for note, it's hard to bitch and moan about it, and you guys all nailed it, in my estimation, and that of many others as well. You know, you guys covered Primus, and now you're going to hear Primus cover a lot of different acts, it looks like here. My job is to press play. So, Frankie, take her away. Let's quiz these dudes.
All right, guys. So we're going to start with a huge song. You know, when Primus announced that they were going to do a Rush album in its entirety, I was hoping they would do this song again. But when they revealed that it would be, you know, a tribute to Kings, the idea was out the window. Regardless, that album is pretty cool as well. But the song that you're about to hear was only performed in its entirety 4 times. I'm guessing because it's a really, really epic song. And Josh is going to play for you what I consider to be the most amazing passage of the song, because each band member gets to shine in a really spectacular way. So let's hear a minute of this live cover.
Any guesses? I'm going to go with the Manhattan Project. I actually don't know which one it is.
I have a guess, but I'm going to refrain from saying it. I'll say if I got it or not.
Same.
Because we're on video and this is only an audio podcast, you can write it on an index card and show us, and we will not say What? I'm kidding. You don't have to do that.
got my pen
These
and paper
guys are
right here,
looking
man.
for stuff to write on.
I'm right here. I'm at my desk, bro. I got it.
Is it A, working man? No. Okay. So I think you guys will get this one right away. Frankie's starting you out with an easy one. Here we go.
This part.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
La Via Strangiato!
That is correct. You guys are 1 for 1 as a team. I appreciate that you're working together.
And it wasn't.
Yeah, but Rory air drum to every single part of that.
That's true.
I was on mute. Yeah, and it wasn't what I thought it was going to be either. I was going to
That is what I thought it was going to be.
I was going to guess Spirit of Radio just because I knew they did that back in the day and they
sure.
haven't done it since. Yeah, La Via Strangiato, man, off of Hemispheres. It's a killer track.
We obviously, Frankie, how many times did you say they've ever played it?
Just 4.
Wow. So they teased it when Rory and I saw them on the Hallucino tour at, what was
in
then?
Boston.
The Fleet Boston Pavilion. Yeah. Now it's like the Dunkin' Donuts Pavilion or something. But they teased it, right? And Is It Luck? You
Yeah.
started going into that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I was
Were you
so.
at that show, Frankie?
No, I've heard the recording. They teased it quite a bit, but the full renditions only took place 4 times.
I mean,
Right,
I think you're right. I think it's because that is a monster of a track. to
They
cover.
played it at the Greek, right? And they played it at like Red Rocks on that
Yeah,
tour.
and it was also the version that we heard was the encore for the Philly show in 2004.
Okay, good call. That Philly show is epic. It's the one with the
Absolutely.
Tommy and sturgeon sandwich.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
with that killer Tommy intro. Yeah, I mean, that song is insane. That might be one of the hardest. I mean, all Rush is hard to play, right? But that's maybe one of their most demanding tracks. And I can remember being on the rail at that Boston show, hearing him go into that for a split second. He went into the beginning bass line, being so stoked, but then they went right back into Is It Luck? So.
Yeah. I know. We were going crazy when he started playing that bass riff.
Yeah, because we were chasing that. We wanted to hear YYZ and La Via on either of those shows, but we didn't get them.
Yeah. Got the tease, though. That
Oh well. Yeah, where's that from, Frankie?
The one that we heard is the encore from Philly.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Sweet.
How do you think they would approach it if they were to play it nowadays? Do you think they would be more precise or more similar?
I think they'd be more locked in than ever by working on the Farewell to Kings album. It's kind of like similar to us, like after, doing Frizzle Fry, we're kind of in Primus shape. You play those songs so much, you get into that headspace, that world. They'd probably attack it with like more surgical precision than ever. But then again, I mean, their playing and their tones and everything from that era is peak Primus to me, at least. So, maybe tonally it wouldn't be the exact same, but I would think playing wise, super tight. I would assume.
Yeah, it would have to be. I mean, you can't really do that music any other way. And it's kind of like what Les was talking about and what Mike Dillon mentioned this as well. It's like you're either going to go for the cover and do it note for note and nail it, or you got to do your own thing with it and totally go off into a different direction. You can't really approximate Rush. You got to nail it.
Yeah.
And it's really fucking hard to nail.
Johnny, what is it like to hear Larry Lalonde play something that actually makes sense?
It's awesome. He's got chops. A lot of the comments you see on YouTube and stuff are always like, Larry's the #1 underrated guitarist ever. And there's some credence to that. I mean, he doesn't show you, he doesn't play all his cards on every song. Like every now and then he'll come out with some sweep licks or some really fast shreddy shit, and you're like, wow, like Larry is really a shredder. He just kind of doesn't have to prove it all the time. I mean, he can tackle Rush songs and
absolutely.
Rush is that Alex Lifeson solo in YYZ too. I love Lur's take on YYZ.
It's funny, to think back of their Rush tour and how Tim Alexander was too nervous to rehearse with them. He totally blew it. And the way he's playing here is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, that was a kind of a painful story to hear. I remember hearing that on the Dean Del Rey podcast.
Oh, yeah.
When he just went cold. But hey, it can happen. But I mean, to that effect, it's like no one nails Neil's parts like Tim. It's crazy.
Wow, man. Yeah. Well, he didn't, he was in the room with them, in the arena with them, I suppose. It wasn't over Zoom. So I hear it's a little bit easier over Zoom.
That's true.
There's that layer of separation. It's kind of
layer of reality. Yeah.
You're saying he was rehearsing Rush material and
Neil was late to a sound check, long story short, because he used to this is the era when Neil used to ride his bicycle to show. He then progressed to riding his motorcycle, making his bandmates pretty nervous, like, oh, is Neil here yet?
Yeah.
But no, this was to most sound checks, and I don't ride a bike.
And he's not riding a motorcycle. But yeah, he was late, and they're like, hey, where's Tim? And I guess Tim just kind of went blank, like he knows all those songs, but when he was on stage with him, it just kind of went blank.
Wow, I can't imagine.
Yeah,
wow,
that'd be
That is a terrifying moment.
It is kind of terrifying. Yeah,
I mean, that's kind of what happened to you a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. Not quite the same.
But you played well. I don't think you went cold at all. You nailed Parrot and did you do Glass Sandwich? No.
No Glass Sandwich.
No, let's requested Prelude to Fear.
I know what I have to. I know what I have to work on.
Eyes of the Squirrel.
I've got Eyes of the Squirrel, Prelude to Fear, and 777 on the practice list. I got to get those down.
Oh, right on, man.
He was impressed by that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool hearing him talk about Green Naugahyde and how they each brought parts to that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we're definitely taking a page out of that book for our next record. Just because of listening to that. I mean, that was really cool to hear the process. I have to echo what Luke said earlier. That podcast was incredible. It's really cool to hear how interested Les was when he's like, wait, Jayski taught you that? What are you talking about? And you're like, yeah, I took a lesson. And he's like, really? It was really sweet. He really took an interest in that Rory is, showing that appreciation and respect for this music and learning it. So yeah, I have to echo Luke. That was such a good listen.
Right on, man. Right on.
Thank you so much.
What's next, Frank?
Luke predicted the next one. We're going to hear a little from a full rendition of YYZ.
Oh, man.
Awesome. They're nailing it.
Locked in.
Like I said, there's only one way to play Rush. You got to nail it.
Yep.
Wow.
And that's really a window into Primus. I mean, I hear Larry's Frizzle Fry solo. You can just tell they were just eating up Rush records back then. It's ingrained in their music. And I mean, he's nailing that.
Yep.
That lead into that solo is really hard. And then that descending, he's nailing it. Larry for president.
And actually to that point, John, you're hearing this Primus, this Rush DNA in Primus. You hear this thing that Herb plays a lot that he definitely got from Neil, that thing in the...
That bell, all about that bell.
You hear that on a lot of Herb parts, whether it's early renditions of Groundhog's Day or there's a lot of examples, definitely something that's in his DNA.
Rory, how hard is it to play that song on drums?
It's it's funny because we were learning it. We've been trying to learn. I should say I've been trying to learn it for about 12 years. But it's it's pretty damn hard. And the hardest thing is that there are these unison figures that happen. Like the whole band will play together. So you just have to be right on it. And there's really no room for guesswork. It's pretty damn hard. It's not as hard as La Via Strangiato, but it's up there. Because again, you got to nail those fills, and Herb nails those fills. Like you're not making up your own Rush fills. It's just not happening. There's much a part of the song as the melody or anything else. They're just as integral,
YYZ is a really hard song to play. Like it's challenging to learn each of those individual parts, but then to play it together is really challenging. The drum does kind of lead it, but like Rory said, we were working on it. When Neil passed away, we were on tour, so every night on sound check, we were just trying to get further into it and listening to it. Rory always had, was we had to get to his level. He was kind of like driving it, but it really is hard, and they really are so locked in. And that's the thing that sticks out to me the most, just hearing that version of it. There's a version, Frankie, I'm sure you know which one this is. I forget the exact show. It was an early show in the Hallucino tour, and they opened the set with YYZ into To Defy. What show is that?
It's funny that you mentioned that one. The first set
on here.
The first set was pretty unusual because they played stuff like Del Davis. They also busted out The Carpenter and The Dainty Bride. I think they even did You Like It on the first set. Yeah, that was a special one. And, as Luke mentioned, for the second set, it sounded like maybe they were just going to replicate the intro from the Frizzle Fry album. But no, they went into the full YYZ before To Defy the Laws of Tradition. I think it was Portland, Oregon Metropolitan Expo Center.
That's it.
You got it.
Yeah, we both got it on our phone. It's a great recording. Yeah. But it's not the tightest version of YYZ. Maybe it was obviously like a different thing they did. Maybe they weren't expecting it, and Les just kind of did it. And it's still great and epic and sounds amazing. But it's not quite as locked in as that version that you just played. And it just kind of shows
that one is killer.
That it's a killer version. Even Primus has varying degrees of tightness, but that is a killer version for sure.
That almost could have been the kind of thing where Les just decided he was going to play YYZ and no one else knew.
Which is a tough one to just, that's a tough audible to throw in a set list.
Yeah, that very well could be.
It's a hard song to play live. I've seen some bands cover it well and others not. Our buddies in Dopapod have done it well before.
Yeah,
right?
Nice.
I never heard it, but
I think I've heard
they're
them
killer, so they would do a good job for sure.
But I've heard bands like not do it that well. It's a tough song. It's a hard song to do, but if you're gonna try and do it, you got to commit.
It's the kind of thing that would give you anxiety before a set. You got to play YYZ. It's like, oh my god.
Also, shout out to the Gypsy scale. That chordal part, up a half step, that tonality. It's sort of the for folks who want an example, is the song at the beginning of Pulp Fiction, the Miserloo by Dick Dale. Da, 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 da. So that's the Gypsy scale, which that tonality is huge in the Primus lexicon as well as the special lexicon. We love that scale, so you can hear it there in that Rush tune. They did it before any of us.
And and of course, you can't. It's funny, thinking about. Hearing Primus before I heard Rush, all via Suck on This. I never even knew what YYZ was until Primus, It's kind of an interesting way to, they're the whole reason I know about Rush. I never listened to Rush before I listened to Primus. And it kind of, getting into some of these influences really informs your knowledge of that band, where they were, where they're developing, and obviously where they still are, because it's still really dear to their heart if they're going to be covering this Farewell to Kings album,
Right, yeah, I took a similar path because Primus was what I heard first and was, of course, really into it. And then you start learning about the band and their influences and you go listen to it. And I remember I was probably 16 listening to Larry Graham going, I guess. But when I listened to Rush, I went, oh, yeah, okay, there's that. I get that one. That one totally I get. But some of the other ones didn't really click for a while. But now all I want to do is listen to funk for the rest of my life. But I've only been listening to Tower of Power for the past 2 weeks because of something Jay Lane said. So It's
right.
like I get it.
Yeah.
You listen to Sigaru?
Yeah, Sigaru.
Oh yeah.
That was so cool to hear him talk about Sigaru, because I love Sigaru, and like to hear him say that was an influence, I was like, oh, the vocal part in My Friend Fats, he's trying to sound like Sigaru. It sounds nothing like it, but created his own amazing vibe.
That's really
and
cool.
Speaking of Rush DNA and Primus, I say Les takes a page out of the Getty book, not only with his bass tone, but his vocals. I mean, he's not afraid to sing up high.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to hear how he tackles Farewell to Kings. Like, wow.
Yeah. Whenever that happens, I'm looking forward to it too.
Fingers crossed.
That's right.
So on the big beautiful book of bass that Geddy Lee put out, got together with Les at Rancho Relaxo, and at the end of their conversation, Les asked Geddy to show him how to play YYZ. Do you think it's because Les totally forgot that he had already played the song several times, or it's because he considers that he was playing his own version?
Oh, I think he said at some point that he'd been playing it wrong.
Yeah, exactly. I read that too. And it makes sense because you learn these songs and you think you're like, oh yeah, I got it. And then maybe you slow it down again and you really get in there. You're like, oh shit, that's not it. That would happen with the Frizzle Fry stuff from time to time. I think I had a pattern down, and then you go back, you listen to yourself doing it, and you listen to the original. You're like, oh, that's actually, it's not like way off, but there's little things that you need correcting. And when you're playing a bass line that challenging, I could certainly see that being the case.
You get a chance to talk to the guy that wrote it, you might as well ask.
Right, totally.
Not that like the first thing I would say to Les is like, okay, so on Tommy the Cat, like he'd probably be like, dude, get away from me.
Right.
I wouldn't lead with that, but they're clearly friends, and I'm sure Geddy enjoyed working on showing YYZ. There's a lot of mutual respect there, so you have to kind of earn that first, and then sure. If I got there with Geddy Lee, I would ask him how to play some of those fills.
Work up to it after 20 years of friendship, Luke.
Right. Okay. I'm working my way up.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to hear from you in about 2040 when you go, he finally showed me.
I'll let you know. I'll come on the pod.
All right, Frankie, what's next?
Next song is something that Les loved doing during the Fancy Band tour. It's not necessary to tell you which track it is because Les announces it at the beginning.
Oh, I was going to say any guesses, but I guess not. We'll let Les Claypool himself tell you. I'm going to let Rory take a big old rip first. There you go. Attaboy.
One step beyond!
I need a refresher because I forget where that's from even.
That is Madness, One Step Beyond.
Okay.
That is an incredible song. I have to shout out my dad. My dad is an Englishman. He played drums in a band, in like a punk band called the Body Snatchers in like the late 70s in England. Nice. But he was a huge Madness fan. So I heard that music. He was into a lot of different ska bands, the Specials and stuff like that, the Clash. So I loved Madness, but we have to shout out the obscure British comedy that Les loves, The Young Ones.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, do you watch The Young Ones, Josh?
I've seen a few, yeah.
Yeah, we used to have them all on like VHS tape. Growing up my dad's British and we have British family and friends and stuff. So, but I remember that song from The Young Ones. So when I first heard them cover that and hearing Skerrick do that sax, I was blown away. It wasn't until later I found out like Les's love of obscure English comedies. What a random song to cover and such a good song and such a good vehicle for Skerrick. So, I love One Step Beyond.
And Mike D holding it down on the upbeat ska vibraphone.
Yeah, it's a great different vibe for Les, It's a little bit unlike anything else in the set. And we must have seen
The Young Ones, man.
We must have seen that in the Fancy Band or something, Luke? In New York.
Yep,
Nokia Theater.
Yeah, that would have been the first time we heard it. I could not believe they were covering it.
It was like 2006 or something, I think.
The next one is, as you know, the Frog Brigade did a ton of covers in all their different incarnations, some less frequent than others. This one in particular, I think it was always fantastic to hear when they busted it out. I think as they played it more and more, eventually they nailed it. The version that you're about to hear, I think, it's the peak of their performances of this song. And, it's just going to contribute further to Josh's appreciation for funk music.
Thanks.
Nice.
Holler it when you know it.
I have a feeling.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Know what the hell that was.
That's dope, but I don't know what it is.
You stumped us, Frankie?
That's Climbing Up the Ladder from the Isley Brothers.
Yep.
And
Oh, cool.
Wow.
it's pretty interesting because
Nice.
before they performed this song, Les recalls his Metallica audition, and he tells the audience that he arrived to it and he didn't know any Metallica tunes, so he just told them, "How about we jam on some Isley Brothers tunes?"
Right.
Jams with Metallica on the Isley Brothers.
Yep.
That's Les Claypool's Metallica audition. Perfect.
It's awesome.
So I figured out, I just plucked the guitar over here, that was in D, and it sounded less like when he goes down, he sounds like he's hitting a low D. Do you think he's in drop D, Luke?
He could have been using that, he has this Carl Thompson bass that he played in the Buzzards video. So he has this drop D bass that he doesn't use much. You might be right, yeah. And especially if it's Frog Brigade era and he's going thick with the envelope filter.
Yep.
It could have been that Buzzards bass, yeah. I'll
You're
have
saying
to
he has one bass that he keeps in drop D?
I know that he had it for that video specifically, and that tune I'm pretty sure is in drop D. I've talked to Joe at MBJ Guitars who worked with Carl Thompson on it, and I'm pretty sure that that's what it is. I'll have to check, but yeah, that could have been some drop D funk.
Does he play in drop D like as often as you do, for instance, on
Hell
other songs?
no.
Greet the
Hell
Sacred
no.
Cow, is that drop D?
I don't think so. No, that's like that
Interesting.
dark
I didn't think he
walnut antipop bass, and I don't think that's standard tune. He doesn't play in drop D much at all, so that would make that even more interesting if he was there. But you might be right. Yeah, that's a deep cut, Frankie.
Yeah. How do you feel about the envelope filter being there basically for the entire song?
I think it totally works there. That's like some wet, slippery funk. That is cool with me, man. Like that, you know what I mean? I'm with Soya where sometimes it can be a little much, but sometimes it can be usually tastefully. And like when you're just some Frog Brigade funk, I'm all for it there. And I'm a fan of it on the Live Frogs album, so I'm cool with it there.
Yeah, with the Isley Brothers tune, it totally fits, and it sounds friggin' great. Yeah, I need to jam some Isleys, man. That was fantastic. The other thing, of course, that came to mind is that when Primus was playing some of their new tunes in 2010 and 2011 before Green Naugahyde was released, that tune, there was a specific tune on there that people were calling New Isley because they didn't know what it was. Huh. So Tragedies Are Coming. I heard it in there.
Right.
Like he just totally, he took a big bite out of some Isley for that one, which is fine, right? Because he's wearing that inspiration on his sleeve and doing something primacy with it. So I totally heard it in there.
And when those recordings first started coming out and we didn't know that it was Tragedies Are Coming yet, I was like, this is a killer Primus groove. And they got back into that hard funk once Jay was in the band there. So yeah, I can hear it there for sure. You're right.
Definitely a dance number. Everybody go out and buy some Isley Brother records. I hope that their families will profit from it, or probably some evil corporation. But what are you going to do?
Was that Enor on guitar, or?
Yeah, that's Enor on guitar.
Yeah.
Are you guys familiar with the Edgar Winter group?
Oh yeah, Frankenstein.
Exactly. So we're going to hear Primus do Frankenstein, they only did this twice. And the recording that we're going to hear is from New Year's Eve 2012 when they were dressed, like with the lab coats and they had the inflatable monsters in the background. I think I discovered this song thanks to Primus, but then I went and heard the original, and I think it's a fascinating piece of music. So let's hear what you guys think about the Primus version.
Remind me how much I'm playing of this.
Just a few seconds, because the quality is not that great.
Okay, like my first marriage. That's a joke.
Classic.
Thank you. I really enjoy that this is Primus joined by 4,000 popping balloons. Sounds great.
It sounds like snare drums.
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
fireworks. Is it balloons or fireworks?
It's balloons.
Sounds
It's
like somebody
it was
just
right
hitting a
after
snare
the
drum.
balloon drop at midnight, yeah.
It's Soya in the back, just like banging.
Totally off time.
That was cool. I haven't heard that before either. Frankenstein's a cool tune. That a lot of people know it from the Fish cover. We played it in our high school jazz band. Rory and I played it after John graduated. John was in the jazz band that was better. Me and Rory's jazz band wasn't as good, the high school jazz band. But we played Frankenstein, and that was a really fun one because we got to kind of dig in, and I could play my electric bass on it and stuff. But it's a tricky song. It's like it can be considered kind of a jazz standard too. You can find it in real books.
Wow.
But I played a gig with the great Tim Palmieri on guitar a couple years ago, and that was on there. And I was like, yeah, I remember Frankenstein, and it wasn't good. I did not nail those runs. So that's another one. That's tricky. If they were playing that there, that was the sound check song that night. They were definitely running that because that's a tricky one, and that sounded good.
Yeah, they busted it out special for that ball drop at midnight, or balloon drop, I guess, at midnight. Right. And then Frankie, the luckiest person on earth, he got the second performance of it.
Yeah,
right?
I got the second one. They busted it out of the blue. And Josh, I understand that you attended the previous show, but you skipped the New Year's Eve one, right?
Yes, I saw the December 30th show and didn't stick around for the New Year's Eve. I don't know why. I think it can only make it one night.
But why did you pick the 30th instead of the New Year's Eve one?
Oh, I had to get back home, I think was the deal. Or I didn't want to pay as much for tickets. Probably 50-50.
He's disappointed he didn't stick around for night two.
A little bit. I could have gotten that one, man. I'll tell you what, that song, the original recording, I must have had a cool classic rock radio station when I was a teenager, because I heard it on the radio, on the classic rock radio. They were playing their Bostons and their what have you, the same 32 songs every day, but one day Frankenstein was on, and I went, what is this, man? And it was great. I was a fan of that track. I didn't hunt down Edgar Winter after that or anything, but when it came on, I was digging it. So to hear my favorite band of all time do it, cherry on top, man.
Yeah, another deep cut. Very cool.
Yeah, very Primacy too.
Now we're going to hear Primus with a very, very special guest on stage doing something absolutely historical.
Hey, don't build it up too much, man.
Any guesses? Did Adrian Ballou sit in with them?
I have a guess.
Yeah, totally.
Busted.
That makes up for me not saying La Via Strangiato before.
There you go.
I was like, I was going to say it.
Les's voice changed. What happened? Was he sick that day too?
Lone Rhinoceros, baby, from Bonnaroo.
Bonnaroo.
2004. Adrian Ballou tune.
Great
I
one.
know
of my
the
all-time
dinosaur. But I don't know that one.
That's a track. That's a solo Adrian Belew track. I want to say
Yeah.
that's off one of his solo records that Les guested on. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might have been like the one. You mean like the one with Danny Carey?
Yeah.
And Les side.
I know this
3 or
is
something?
this is like way before.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not familiar so much with the original version, but I remember that recording really well, being so stoked that Adrian sat in. He did that, he did Thala, and then he sat in on Tweakers, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was
I
one
would
of my
love to hear
favorite
Tweakers.
all-time Primus sets. It's like that.
It's
just
such a good-
monster
yeah.
set. Yeah, the sit-in. Les is like on mushrooms and keeps like, pointing it out. Just each one of you, at some point in your life, should see this view I have of you all right now. he was vibing, but why? I mean, he's playing with one of his heroes. That's a legendary moment for him. And they kill it. Yeah. That's a great recording. What year of Bonnaroo was that?
2004.
2004.
Yeah. I mean, there you go. That's
What do you guys think about the King Crimson period with Adrian Belew as the frontman?
We love it. We love it very much.
At practice yesterday, we were teasing Elephant Talk
Yeah, we were jamming
and
on
talking about how that was obviously an inspiration for Jerry.
yeah.
We love that stuff, that the Indiscipline era. And
Ugh. Those
That
albums are
album
good.
just like what you said before, Josh, when you heard Rush, you were like, okay, this makes sense. To me, as like, listening to Tool and Primus, when I heard Discipline, it was just like, oh, like this is the key. This is, this was the thing that was handed down. Just from the opening notes of Elephant Talk, I was blown away. I loved Thala. I love that record. We're huge 80s Crimson fan. I'm a big fan of all 3 of those records. Discipline is the clear favorite. We cover Thala. It's one of our favorite songs to play. But you kind of do need another guitar because they're playing in 2 different time signatures. Well, there's one in like 7 and just one in 4. Johnny, is that the Thala part?
pretty sure, yep.
So
Were you about to
tried
say
do-
we got to meet Tony Levin once?
Oh no,
What?
I wasn't. But
Yeah, we took a picture of them. It's pretty funny. Our friend took it, and it's all blurry.
Yeah, we have a
Very-
blurry
very
iPhone
blurry
picture
picture.
of us hanging out. Thanks a lot, Dylan Hallis. Shout out.
Hallis.
But no, I was going to I was going to say that we played a gig in Asheville, like 2 years ago, last year or something, with Andre. What's Andre's last name?
Chumley, yep.
Andre Chumley, who is Adrian Blue's guitar tech, and he's also a really talented guitarist. He's wild, man. You could tell like this guy worked with Adrian Belew, but we had him come sit in on Thala, and he brought us the original backing track from Discipline of when like Adrian Blue's talking into like the tape, and he's like, I don't know what it was, man. What am I doing out here? So we sampled the actual Adrian Belew studio.
Wow,
version.
that's so cool.
It was awesome. People can check that out. That whole show is on YouTube. I forget the exact date, but it was like I want to say 2019 fall tour. If you type in lespecial Asheville Music Hall, our version of Thala with Andre is there.
He also brought me a guitar pick, one of Adrian's guitar pick with the Indiscipline logo on it, which I gave to Primus's manager, Jason Gibbs, when we were at Slayer and Primus in Louisville, Kentucky. And I said, please bring this backstage and give this to Larry. So
Awesome.
I hope that King Crimson pick found its way to Larry.
That might have stuck in some pockets. You don't know, man. That's a cool thing.
Slayer
awesome,
show. People are just trying to like find it and steal it, and it's like it's the pick of destiny, from
right.
Slayer threw a drumstick out, and I saw 2 guys that just neither of them would let go of this drumstick. It was at the end of the night, house lights on, everyone's filing out. These 2 shirtless, sweaty dudes just like rolling around the floor, wrestling for this drumstick.
Rory dove in there and took both of them on single-handedly.
No, I didn't.
Don't worry about it, Rory. It's always going to hook you up. You're going to be on Vader in no time.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Heck yeah.
You get all the sticks you want, I hear, at that point. Johnny, I do want to hear briefly because Adrian Belew, I play a little guitar poorly. Don't ask me to do anything right now, but he's one of those guys I listen to him play and I go, I'm not at the point where I could learn anything from him because it just doesn't sound like he's playing guitar half the time.
Yeah, a lot of it is effects based. He does really cool. He does his rhinoceros or dinosaur sound in Elephant Talk. I believe that was like some electroharmonics unit that he could make oscillate. I mean, he's one of the first guys to do that kind of stuff. But also his track record. I mean, he played with Bowie, Zappa, correct?
Yep.
Yeah. Bowie stole him from
Talking
Zappa.
Heads.
Oh, really?
Talking Heads. And the fact that he's still out there crushing it, it's just amazing. He has spanned so many corners of the music world. And it should be noted, actually, speaking of Adrian Belew at Bonnaroo, he's playing with some of our buds in the band Turquoise, another Boston-based great funk band that we've done a lot of shows with. And it's amazing. You say, playing with your heroes. They're going to be playing with Adrian Belew and Jerry Harrison, right, Rory?
Yeah. That's those shows are starting to get rescheduled, which is awesome. Josh, add it to the funk list, man. Turquoise.
Powerful. But there are parts of Adrian's playing that I could teach you quite simply, like the part, and I keep mentioning Elephant Talk with the bow. That's just like a 2-finger chord, but with all sorts of special sauce on it.
Oh, sure, yeah. I'm sure there's little bits and pieces that I could go, okay, I could dig into something like that, but an entire tune, I just think, no, not yet.
He's a very unique player. He has his own, sound. When you hear his guitar style, you can kind of pinpoint him.
Right on.
Did you guys know that when Adrian Belew was touring with Talking Heads for Remain in Light, like Tina Weymouth, behind David Byrne's back, she went to Adrian Belew and she asked him if he could be the lead singer for the band. Like, she wanted to ditch David Byrne. So that was just one example of the kind of things that those guys would do. So, of course, when David Byrne had to get together with them again for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, people say that it was a lot of tension backstage. Like, he did not enjoy it at all. So, Of course, those guys are never going to get back together.
Interesting. And did he take on the role of lead vocalist for the Talking Heads for a period?
No. Yeah, he just
and
did.
I'm glad he didn't.
Tour.
I mean, I love his voice, but Talking Heads, I mean, you need David Byrne's deep baritone for that stuff.
But it's almost similar, too. David Byrne and Adrian Belew have a similar kind of timbre and like that vocal quality. Just that crazy wild 80s
almost
shit.
Spoken wordy, kind of new age, downtown New York City avant-garde kind of. Dare I say we see a little of that in Les's Bay Area spoken word, and
sure.
I mean, he's all over the map vocally. That can't be said enough. I mean, the note he hits on All the King's Horses and All the King's Men,
like totally
Prince level falsetto. It's way up there.
On All, right? Is that the one you're talking about?
Yep, and he's still nailing it. Like, I saw I don't know if it was a Bonnaroo show with Jay that was only a couple years old or something, and I was like, he's probably not going to go all the way for that note, and then he did, and he nailed it at his age. It's incredible.
Yeah, and Adrian Belew, he's a really humble guy. He's a really cool person. I had the chance to meet him way back, and he was really, really gracious and really polite. The thing with Bowie is that Bowie saw him perform live, and he was like, I need that guy in my band. I got to have him. So he went up to him backstage and he said, do you want to be in my band for my next tour? And Adrian Belew said, well, my tour with Frank Zappa is still going for a couple of months. And Bowie said, my tour starts in a couple of months. So, of course, Adrian Belew just seized the opportunity to put Bowie in his resume. So he told Frank Zappa he was quitting after the tour, and Frank Zappa was really, really pissed.
Oh, that's an amazing story.
That is an amazing story. It's amazing that Bowie, I've heard him doing that, walking into a club in New York and seeing 3 jazz musicians and saying, I want them to do my next record.
Yeah.
That's literally how Black Star was made.
Right.
And,
wow, that's pretty, it's so interesting. I think about Adrian Belew as, kind of a lone rhinoceros. Like, he is just like a mythical creature. Yeah. He's so just, there's just something to him that the music of discipline, but I guess I was just thinking that he's just this special point in time in King Crimson, but I had no idea he was such like a sought after musician that everyone sees Adrian Belew and they're like, this guy is screaming about rhinoceroses. This is the guy right here.
Thank God.
That's so cool. Yeah, thank God. Thank God that, weird guys like him can be such, highly sought after musicians.
Right on, yeah. Soya's not here, but I'm channeling his essence right now, Frankie. That's enough Bowie.
Okay. All right.
I'm kidding. What do we have next?
I love the Bowie pictures you post, Frankie.
My daily stuff. Yeah.
I love the daily Bowie stuff, man. Keep it coming. It's great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The next track, guys, is from a really, really special performance. We're back at Bonnaroo 4 years later in 2008, and what makes this performance special is the lineup. It's a completely one-off of Les Claypool, Murph, Sam Bass, and Paolo Baldi. It was an iteration of Fancy Band, but it was not quite the Fancy Band. Now, I love Fancy Band, and part of what makes this show special is that it was a one-off, but at the same time, the musicianship was so incredible. I wish he had toured with this ensemble because I'm sure they would have created really, really amazing music. What you're about to hear is the only cover song they performed in their set.
Buildings crashing down to the cracking down. Rivers turn to rain, ice mountains to mud. Amazing death, clouds of water, tearing life away. Backtrack, killed raw. Backtrack, killed raw.
I had to let it play to get to that part because I love how they
Who's that in the backing vocals?
Merv.
What the hell was that?
Merv.
That's Electric Funeral from Black Sabbath.
Okay.
Ow.
Merv is.
Yeah, I didn't know that one.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Incredible.
Stumped again, Frankie.
I know that I've like seen that song title that they've played it, but I didn't know the song. I didn't know it was.
That's
that
like
it was
talk
Sabbath.
about Les's range. That's pretty up there. Like,
Yeah,
that
that's
doesn't
pretty
sound
cool.
like an easy song to sing, especially in Bonnaroo, just like inhaling dust and
and whatever else. Yeah.
what was Les saying that Merv is one of his favorite guitarists?
Absolutely.
Yeah, he loves Merv. He admires Merv very deeply.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, he's awesome. You could hear right there. I mean, what a fucking killer guitarist. But, wow, that's wild. Yeah, that one I'd never heard before.
Yeah. I really enjoy that recording of that show, and that's one I don't listen to a ton of live recordings, but that's one I listened to more than once because of Merv's skill set, and it's so varied. He can play anything, man. It's pretty incredible. I don't know if you guys have heard his band Uncle Sea Monster. He's pretty much killing the surf genre. So look for that one.
Check that
Uncle
out.
Sea Monster?
Uncle Sea
sick.
Monster, man. He can do that. Guy can play anything, any style. So
Yeah.
I'm a huge Merv Haggard fan myself.
It's a really fantastic recording. It's the best rendition of One Better that they ever did. And they also do like a really extended 10-minute precipitation, and Merv does some beatboxing on that, which is absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
But I think the best thing of all is of Wales and Woe, because Les Claypool asks Merv like to play these solos here and there. And then he tells the audience, so far I have unleashed beats and pieces of Merv, but now you're about to be slapped in the face with the full erection that is Merv.
Wow.
That's a pretty good descriptor.
Like he goes
Les
into
Claypool fashion.
he goes into this epic solo.
That's not when he bows the metal saw. He
Is it like
bowing
a saw,
a,
like bowing like a thin saw?
An analog.
Yeah.
saw.
yes, he's
No,
bowing
like-
he's
Oh, I thought you were
an
talking
analog
about a
saw.
chainsaw.
I'm thinking like Leatherface chains.
Yeah, same. Same.
No, a metal saw. He's bowing a metal saw. Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's cool. That's a little
Analog.
safer.
John
Always
from Bennington used to play the saw.
Yeah,
Oh, right,
I have
so-
one right over there. They're like, woo,
Right, so-
theremin.
The saw. I mean,
That
still
got me
pretty
thinking, though, Frankie. That would be pretty
unconventional.
cool to do. I want to try that.
Oh, he didn't play a real chainsaw. It was just a saw. Who cares, dude?
Whatever.
Typical guitarist
Next.
shit.
No, okay, that's good. Yeah, that's a great
I'm
show.
gonna look up that set. Can you give me that set one more time, Frankie?
Yeah, what
Yeah,
year?
that's
08?
Bonnaroo 2008.
Yep, good set.
I'm gonna go check that out later. That sounds really
2
cool.
years
Yeah.
after we were there. We were there.
Hey. Oh man. Yeah. Oh, any Merv you can get your hands on. Listen to Merv, man. He's great. He's great.
The next one is from Claypool and on Delirium. And I think when Les began this project, people were very, very skeptical about Sean Lennon, but he proved himself as a really good guitar player. And I think the best proof is the song that you're about to hear, because I think he must have been absolutely floored when Les Claypool told him they were going to perform this live. I think it's like sort of the Claypool Lennon equivalent to Primus doing La Villa Strangiato. So let's check this one out, Josh.
Any guesses?
I have an idea, but I don't know if it's about a band that we've already discussed or not. It could be. Could not be. Could have something to do with this shirt. Might not. I don't know.
If I'm thinking maybe like what was the track they did off Piper at the Gates of Dawn?
Astronomy Domine.
Yeah, that's
that would
true.
be my guess, but
Nah, it's not that one.
Okay, good. Then I don't know.
Let's find out.
1,
Shiner. One more time. You fucked it up already. Look, my tremolo was on, mate. I didn't know. I didn't know that you were going to play that song.
We're going to try it again. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Art
love
of
that
the
album.
Sunrise, baby. Yes,
Right
baby.
on. Right on.
There you
Yeah,
go.
buddy.
I love that record.
I never heard them do that. I don't even know that I knew they did that. That's killer. Did they do the whole thing?
No, actually, it's a funny thing. They performed the song 3 times at the same show because Les really wanted the band to nail it down.
Whoa.
So this is the thing that you just heard. This is the second attempt. They did it one more time for the encore.
Whoa.
They just played instrumental portion. They didn't do the full song. Like the part with vocals, they didn't do that.
Wow, that's really cool. It sounded great.
Why would you play it 3 times?
Yeah, that's really bizarre.
Maybe because the other guys weren't nailing it. Zhao sounded like he was nailing it. Or what's the keyboardist name?
Yeah, that's Zhao. That's right.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
him from I went to Berkeley with him. I have,
That's awesome.
Oh, no shit.
Our buddy Ezra, a killer jazz guitarist from Boston, worked with him. Yeah, we got to meet him at the Claypool Delirium.
He's a super cool guy. Yeah.
Hang with him. Yeah, super cool. Yeah.
Yeah, when they came to Mexico, I sent him a message on Instagram, and I was just like, hey, I'm really looking forward to seeing you guys play tomorrow. And he texted me back in the middle of the night, and he said, do you want to take me out to eat some tacos? And I was like, hell yeah, man, absolutely. And yeah, I told my girlfriend, drop whatever you're doing. We're gonna have dinner with the keyboard player of Claypool and Delirium, and we spent the whole night with him. It was really cool.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, very, very, very cool, down to earth dude.
It's a good thing Soya's not here. He would be so jealous right now. How many Al Pastor tacos did he eat, man?
Yeah.
Great. I mean, that's the cool thing about the Claypool and Delirium. Like when they would open sets with Astronomy Domine, it's like Les is like, this is our prog band. This, you know what I mean? Like they really flexed on that like 70s prog. So it makes sense that they did Yes. Yeah, I hadn't heard that either.
From a musical standpoint, I'm assuming it's a really tough song to play, right?
I mean, I've never even heard it before, so I'm not super familiar with Yes. I know Chris Squire obviously is an incredible bassist, and Roundabout, I learned that, but yeah, I mean, I think it's another band like Rush. The parts are intense. Learning them individually is difficult, and then playing it even more so. Do you guys have much like experience playing at Yes?
Not really. I mean, that's Bill Bruford on drums, so that's our boy. But no, I really just know the 2 Yes albums, The Fragile and what's the other one, Frankie, that's up there. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I have limited knowledge of Yes.
The Earth on the cover?
Yeah, I'm going to look it up right now.
I think that's the one where this song comes from.
Yeah.
Yep.
Great keyboard parts, too.
Is it Rick Wakeman?
Yes, Rick Wakeman.
Yeah.
There's a patch in my Alesis Micron that's called Wakeman's Waves or something.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, yeah, it's just The Fragile, I guess. That's the only album I know. But yeah, it's similar. It's in that vein of King Crimson. They shared some members, same era, too, of some of that earlier Crimson stuff. And yeah, very demanding stuff.
And we didn't pick easy songs to cover with the Delirium.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, I guess if anything we've learned this podcast, or at all, they never picked an easy, cover. I thought you were going to play shit like In the Flesh, and I was going to be like, hey, In the Flesh, I know that one. Yeah, I saw them play the first time. But, like, coming at us with, like, they're messing up Yes songs live. Like, this is the Frankie masterclass, man.
Yeah.
Tell you what.
What do you guys think about Steve Howe?
Don't know much about him.
Oh, he's the guitar player. He's the guitar player for Yes.
Other than
played with George Harrison, right? The Wild Thornberrys.
I'm not sure, but one of our sound engineers was on tour with him. Remember, Travers was on tour with the Steve Howe band right before he came on tour with us.
Right.
He teched for him. That's really all I know about him. But if he was playing guitar, and Yes, he's got to be pretty killer.
I met a guy who every year he would go on a Prague cruise. Like, I didn't even know that was a thing, but apparently, yeah, like there's a cruise every year, and you get to see Yes and King Crimson and all this music. And he said that he had been on that several times, and he had paid like the most expensive tickets. He had like VIP seats. And he said no matter how hard he tried, each consecutive year, Steve Howe just wouldn't sign autographs for him. And I told that guy, yeah, I totally understand you, because I had the chance to meet Robert Fripp once. And, I approached him with Scary Monsters booklet on my hand and a Sharpie. And he got away. And then someone came out and she asked me, like, what do you want? And I told her, I just want to chat with Robert and maybe get an autograph. And she said, no, he's not going to sign anything.
Were you like, do you know who I am? Like, I'm Frankie. Like, I need to meet this dude.
Yeah. But, fortunately, he came out to chat for like 5 minutes. But yeah, he just wouldn't sign anything. But, the experience was cool anyway.
Wait, so you did talk to Fripp?
Yeah, for like 5 minutes. It was cool.
Wow.
He was cool. He was nice?
Yeah, very polite, very, very gentle, very, very formal. He was wearing, a tie with a shirt and a vest.
Yeah.
Dude, if I met Fripp, I would be like scared. Like, he's so delicate. Like, he's like this little English gentleman. Like, I feel like I'd like spill my beer on him or something and be like banned from King Crimson shows. Sorry, Robert.
There was an intimidating moment because after hanging out, I had no idea, what the show was going to be like. We walked into the venue, and instead of a stage, it was completely empty, and there were just chairs at the center, like in a circle. So I was like, interesting. So we took a seat, and when Robert came out, he was performing with a band made of his students, all his guitar students, and throughout the show, they would walk in circles around the attendants. And there was one particular moment when Robert was playing guitar like right in front of me, and he was staring at me, and I just had to look away because it was pretty intimidating.
That's incredible.
That's amazing. So he had them like wireless.
Yeah, he had them all wireless, walking around, playing in front of people, going in different directions, and he was like just always leading them throughout the stage or lack thereof. But it was really, really cool.
You missed your chance to blow him a kiss, dude.
Just shoot him a little wink.
Just meet me after, Robert. Yeah,
that is incredible.
He's one of my favorite guitarists and favorite musical masterminds of all time.
Yeah, he's absolutely phenomenal. After the show, I asked my friend, like, Jesus Christ, he was right in front of us. What do you think was going through his mind when he was staring at me? And she told me he was probably thinking, it's the autograph guy.
What's next, Frankie?
Do you guys recall, Les is a man of many masks, but there was one that he wore in particular that looks like, like an Elvis Presley hairstyle. Do you recall that mask?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. The hair, the Elvis wig with like the sunglasses that goes over his head. Yeah.
Did you used to have one of those wigs too?
Yeah, Rory. I wasn't going to bring that up,
cool.
But if you have to bring up that I had an Elvis wig and I wore it all the time.
Yes.
It was a rubber Elvis wig from the costume shop at this camp I lived at. And on like crazy hat day, I was like, I can wear my Elvis wig to school. And somebody won that had like a silly like umbrella hat. I was like, I have an Elvis wig. And they were like, yeah, but technically it's not a hat. I'm still salty about it if you can't tell.
You had that Elvis wig on the first time I laid eyes on you. I went to a different elementary school than Luke and Rory, and we were there for like a field trip one day in like, I don't know, 6th grade, 5th grade, and I saw this kid waiting for the bus joking around with an Elvis hat on, Elvis hairdo on. And then I didn't see him until we went to high school years later. That was just a chance thing. So funny.
Yeah, I told you I wore it a lot. And, that was before I saw Les with it on. So when I saw Les in the Elvis wig, I was like, this is why he's my guy.
All starting to make sense.
Everybody listening right now, just pause the podcast, go over to lespecial music on Instagram, and you will see this picture of Luke, little Luke, in this Elvis wig. I'm making a prediction. I really hope it comes true.
I'm going to find it, and I'll post it for you, Josh. I'll post it for the Primus Tracks listener.
Awesome.
I know
Thank
that
you,
there's
Luke.
one out there with me with that Elvis wig.
Good.
My
all
mom
right.
will be very excited if I text her and ask if she can find that for me.
But what does this have to do with the cover, Frankie?
Well, you're gonna hear Les doing his best impression of Elvis Presley, but it's just the prelude to the cover that they performed for the night. I'm not gonna say which one it is, but I have a feeling you guys are gonna recognize it right away.
I was saying before, I'm caught in a trap. I can't walk out because I love you too much, baby. Why can't you see what you're doing to me? I don't believe the things you're saying. No, we can't go on together with suspicious minds. And we can't live our dreams with suspicious minds. Thank you very much. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Rory knows.
So it's definitely Bucket of Bernie Brains.
Yep.
But that was that roundabout tease at the end. Is that what you're hearing as
Yeah.
well?
Yeah. That's what I was hoping you guys would recognize.
Yes, definitely.
We got to meet them, meet the whole band after that show.
At Roseland Ballroom, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
right
what
on.
year
really?
was that, Rory?
2005.
5, yeah. Amazing show, and everyone was really cool, including Buckethead, who was just wearing a all green Adidas tracksuit with the hood up, like still with the mask. I was like, 16, 17 years old. I'm like, Buckethead, what's going on, man? And he's like, looks at me, and I'm like,
Did he say anything? Did you hear him speak?
He doesn't talk.
No, he just stared at me.
We played
And,
a festival with him years later, and
Yeah.
there were like signs up, and like he had his own private area, and the staff was like, no one can go near his area
Right.
at all.
Yeah, he is a very private, interesting.
He
dude.
did a radio interview, or it was like a podcast or something back in 2017, and he revealed his speaking voice for what I think is the only time so far.
Wow,
And
I would love to hear that.
Soya said that he was probably like using something to modify it, but based on the descriptions that I've heard about people who have interacted one-on-one with him, I'm convinced it was his real voice, because he was like really soft and really gentle. And it's a really revealing interview, because he said that he has a heart condition, and his doctor told him that
Right.
he could die any day, like without a warning.
Yeah, I remember hearing that a while back.
Yeah. So he just puts out albums like crazy, and lives in the moment.
I would love to check that out. We've listened to a great podcast with Brain, and he talks about, is it the I'd Hit That podcast?
Yeah, I'd hit that.
Oh,
as the
sure,
name
yeah.
of it.
Larry was on that too.
Yeah, right.
Really
Well,
terrific.
Excellent episodes, yep.
Really crazy stuff when Brain's talking about Buckethead, how Buckethead like loves Disney World, and he goes to Disney World and just listens to his own music in headphones, or he listens to his covers of the theme rides.
Yeah.
Because
He's
he
like, I
prefers
listen to-
his arrangement.
It's like when I'm on Space Mountain, I'm listening to me playing Space Mountain, man. It's me in headphones. It's actually the Brain episode gets into some good Buckethead stuff, but it's also the Josh Freese episode. Do you guys know the drummer Josh Freese? He played with the Perfect Circle, Nine Inch Nails,
Oh, sure.
Sting. He's a monster, but he's on this podcast and he talks about Buckethead for like a half hour. really entertaining stuff. Like Buckethead wanted to be in the band at Disney World, and like asked Josh Freese's dad to like get him an audition, and like it's wild stuff. Really entertaining.
Oh man, I'll check that one out for sure.
I'll send you the link to that.
Yes,
Frankie,
please.
please send me that interview with Buckethead.
Yeah, totally. Did you guys? I mean, you had the whole bucket of Burn Your Brains lineup in front of you. Did you get anything signed by all members?
Ticket stub.
We got all our ticket stubs signed. Everyone was so cool. That was like, I guess my kind of first and like really only real time meeting Les, and he was really nice. I mean, I acted like, a little dumb, confused kid. I was like, "Oh, you inspire me to get out there and play that bass, man." And he's like, "Haha, play that bass, huh?" And like, took my ticket, signed it. It was just super cool. Like, I'm making a fool of myself. Skerrick is like, we've hung out with Skerrick before. He's a weirdo. He's like running over the street. He's like, what? He's like chasing after somebody, like quacking along. But then like even Gabby Lala, was Gabby there?
Gabby was there to do Elephant Ghost every night.
Okay,
right. That's it, because she opened the show. That was before she got she was with Fancy Man. But I remember, talking to her, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm going on the bus with the guys tonight, so it's my first time riding with them. I'm excited." So she was really nice and cool too. And Bernie, like, you're around Bernie, and you just want to you don't want to act like my thing with Fripp. I don't want to trip over and spill a beer or something. Like, he's just very soft spoken. But they were all very gracious and cool. So yeah, it was a great experience.
Living legends, man. All of them. In different ways. That's so bizarre, too.
Yeah, like that's a wild band to meet.
Right. Yeah. The personalities. That's just those disparate personalities, and then they came together and just made this kick-ass music without much rehearsal.
Yeah. Improv.
All right, for the next one, when it comes to what cover songs get played, with the Frog Brigade, I'm guessing that Les Claypool calls all the shots. With Claypool and on Delirium, Sean Lennon certainly brings forward some stuff, and then Les has to learn it, and vice versa. But with Primus, 100% certain this was something that Larry probably requested.
I got an idea then.
Oh, you know where we're going now.
A little lovely on the side, all over. A little lovely on the side.
Can't even hear Larry.
Yeah, I can't hear Lur either. I don't know what's going on.
I don't think he's not playing anything.
That was
It
just
wasn't
Les and Tim
sounded-
jamming.
At the
Yeah,
end,
it was just Les and
sounded
Tim.
like- I was hearing a 60 cycle hum at the end, like a.
So-
it almost sounds like Larry might have lost his signal.
I think he did. If I remember correctly, at that show, he was having a bunch of trouble with his amp. Do you remember this, Frankie? That's the Verizon show from Hallucino.
Yeah, totally.
Oh,
Yeah,
poor
and
guy.
they just busted into that. That's killer. We always
That's hilarious
loved that.
they we love that version. It's amazing they play a Zappa song when Lur's guitar
Lur.
isn't working. And it's like, dude, come on.
Seriously,
Of
like,
course.
that must have been such a bummer. He's like, I finally got Les to play this song, and my fucking amp doesn't work. Like that song in particular, I had the same moment that I've heard Larry dictate so many times on podcasts and stuff. When he first heard "Dumb All Over," I had the same experience. I remember Rory playing it. Like his room was dark and the speakers were up loud, and I'm like, "What is this?" Like that phaser voice with the really low octave.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was the coolest thing, most sinister sound I've ever heard. So I really resonate when I hear Larry talk about that, and that's a bummer that his freaking amp broke right there.
Yeah, there was wasn't there a Zappa compilation that it was like Lur's Picks? Was that? Do you guys familiar with that at all?
Zappa Picks by Larry Lalonde,
Yeah, I had that. John Fishman did one too. That was like my intro to that song, I believe, being on that album curated by Lur. So it's great. Yeah, did they ever play that more than once though? Isn't that the only time?
It was a one-off, and having heard the original, I really gotta give props to them for the way they adapted it, because this is certainly their version. For sure.
Yeah, when
It's got
Herb
a
goes on the
weird
bell.
groove, and it's a weird feel. We loved that. We used to jam that all the time, that riff. And that was kind of like, we started to get into Zappa. I think Rory was the first one, and then we all started listening to it through Primus. And I remember, Rory just had this like mix, the Zappa mix. We listened to it on the way to our first Primus show in 2003.
Yeah.
And it was wild. I was pretty blown away by like all the intense like vibraphone parts and how composed and crazy it was. And then later, as I kept diving into it, my favorite album of Zappa's is Shut Up and Play Your Guitar. Just short songs with Zappa just shredding. And like, the compositional stuff is incredible, but to me, just that raw, crazy improvisational energy and his style is just so cool. And that album, obviously, Shut Up and Play Guitar, showcases Zappa's guitar playing more so than a lot of other albums.
With that in mind, of course, Larry and Brain had a project called Kaka for many years, and they would play live shows in the Bay Area, and it was all Zappa covers. I've never found a recording, I don't think, and if maybe years ago there was one, and it was terrible quality. So that's
you gotta tap Soya for that.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
yeah, we gotta find some recordings of that because I would love to hear Larry, playing some Zappa note for note because I know he can. So, we didn't get it on this recording either because his freaking amp took a shit.
And I wonder if that's why they didn't play it anymore. I mean, sometimes a bad experience on stage can just give you a sour taste for a song, which is a bummer because they could crush that if Larry was in there. And then Les does the Napoleon Murphy Brock Motel Rum, rum, those vocals. That'd be great. So please, if you're listening, Primus, please bring back Dumb All Over.
Yeah, or do a Kaka show when all this stuff's over. I'd love to see that. There's another thing I'll mention, which is Mars Mechanics, a Brain thing. They have 2 albums now that you can find online, but the second one is called Let's Be Frank, and it's Brain and Merv, and Merv shreds the fuck out of some Zappa sounding tunes. Pardon my language, but that Let's Be Frank album from Mars Mechanics is fantastic. So if you want to hear Merv,
where can you find that? Is that like on Spotify or iTunes or anything like that? Or YouTube?
Yes, Apple Music, and I think I bought it off of Amazon Music, so it's on those streaming services.
Nice.
Yeah, I've never
Check
even
that
heard
out.
Mars Mechanics. That sounds awesome. Merv and Brain, sick.
Yes, yeah. That Let's Be Frank is very Zappa-esque. Their first record is very different, but the second one is phenomenal.
We went to see Zappa play Zappa recently, like a few years back, and incredible. I mean, the homage he pays to his father and the skill level is unbelievable. To have like a blood lineage pushing that music and keeping that music in the public eye is a beautiful thing. So it was a bummer to read that there were like some tension there.
I think that happens with every kind of release after the artist or the band is gone. People always criticize the way states handle their legacy. It happens with Prince, for example. A new studio album was announced, and many people were very critical, and they were saying that if he didn't release it in his lifetime, why are they doing it now? But the guy left a plan behind. I mean, he didn't leave a will, but he did specify that those recordings were in the vault. So after he was gone, whenever that happened, his estate would have an album to put out each year for until the end of the millennium, basically.
So he approved that. That's interesting because I've thought about that with the piano and a microphone record, great Prince record, but it's literally him just demoing songs at a piano. He's kind of teasing stuff and I'm like, I'm not so sure he wanted people to hear this.
Oh, he did. I mean, all the stuff in the vault is fair game. He put that stuff there so that there would be tons of music after he was gone. It was always the plan.
Pretty cool. Wow, I didn't know that either.
Yeah. When I die, Frankie, my wife is just going to unload a bunch of lawsuits on you, unprovoked, and then she's going to reap all the profits of Primus tracks. So she's going to live in poverty, is what I'm trying to say.
Primus tracks estate is going to be in shambles.
That's right. She's going to burn it down. Anyhow, what do we have next there, pal?
We have a cover from the first ever Oysterhead concert in New Orleans in 2000. The thing about this cover version is that tons and tons of people absolutely despise it. In my case, in their defense, I like to think they were not being totally serious when they were doing it. So let's see what you guys think.
Not Sissy Strut, is it?
Not Sissy Strut. Okay. And by the way, video of this first Oysterhead performance just surfaced, in the last 8 months or something?
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, some guy dug out his video camera and went, I taped this whole show. Here it is, YouTube. Pretty incredible.
Oh my God, amazing.
I've listened to the audio when we were doing the Oysterhead set. there's not a lot of live Oysterhead to go off, and there's not a lot of Oysterhead music to go off, so we had to just do most of the songs on that album. But this was a live performance I was able to track down and listen to. So I have heard this, so I'm curious to hear if I know this, if I know this cover or not.
Any of you folks familiar with Satan?
Johnny's reaction is everything.
Oh man.
F sharp,
Yeah.
baby.
It's a little, yeah.
Sharp octaves. If Les was holding it down, it sounded like Trey was just feeding back for the first minute of that. Like there was no cohesion to the riff, and then they both tried to sing lead vocals. Like it sounded like they went to sing and one of them went to harmonize, and then was like, "Fuck this! This sounds bad. I'm gonna just sing unison with him." So yeah, they were very much rehearsing that one on stage.
Yeah,
and that's about as together as they were for this
cool
entire performance.
The way he played that was cool. Because John was saying, it's an F sharp octave riff. It's just. That's it, right? It's just F sharp octave. Mm-hmm. But it sounded like Les was like double. And that's pretty cool. Like that riff, like that octave riff is begging for like a Les Claypool, double thump.
He was holding it down, man.
I like that. I mean, I don't know about when Trey started singing. I can't say I like that. But, that was entertaining.
And we love Stuart Copeland, don't get me wrong, but it's Stuart Copeland trying to play John Bonham. It's not really the same thing. It's kind of floating on top of the beats, a little fast, a little thin sounding, not very thunderous in my opinion.
Well, didn't Les say that Stuart Copeland has a tendency to rush everything?
He does. I mean, that's kind of just his style. He's very urgent. There's an urgency.
I mean, that was fast. That was a fast immigrant song.
Yeah, it's a little too fast, and it's not really for me.
Yeah. Actually, on this show, they're supposed to play "Owner of the World," but Stuart Copeland begins playing the drum beat for "Pseudo Suicide," and Les Claypool just tells the band to stop, and he tells the audience, every now and then I just have to look back and realize that I'm playing with Stuart Copeland. Yeah. I get to play with Stuart Copeland. Yeah. And then he tells the audience, you don't get to play with Stuart Copeland. I get to do it. And he just starts praising Stuart, but then he says, Stuart, you're playing the damn wrong song.
That's funny.
That was when we saw them in 2006 at Bonnaroo, and that was their first show back.
Yeah.
And, I just remember Les like, that's Stuart Copeland back there. Yeah. Still in awe of it,
Yeah, that was epic.
I'd like to think that they were not taking this seriously, right? It sounds like they were joking.
Yeah, it sounds like they're having fun. And that's kind of with a new band, you have to kind of be able to laugh at it and have fun and just try some different things. If you especially a band like Oysterhead, where you have these three massive personalities and doing a lot of kind of like jamming and figuring out songs, have fun with it, man. Like that, if I was there, I would have been headbanging, going crazy. Now I can listen and be like, hey, it's a little cringe, but like if I was there, I would have been loving it. So I'm all supportive. I'm in support of that.
That's a great point. That, just by talking to guys like you and other musicians, and I can hear it when it's really bad. I can hear it, but I feel like I'm tuning my ear now to when we get back out there to live music. I'm going to be standing there watching and listening and going, they're a little bit off, which normally I wouldn't even bother to comment on, but I just really appreciate that you guys have those observational skills, and I think they're rubbing off somewhat. Not that I'm going to stand there and be a jerk.
Sit here and analyze music, all the time. Like, I think it'll definitely, it definitely affects it. You don't have to be a musician to think analytically, and I'm sure that there's that listen to this podcast and some that aren't, and that we all have, and we all like Primus. So we are critical of bands that aren't, super awesome.
Right. Yeah. My wife, by the way, phenomenal singer. I need to send you guys some of her tracks that she's recorded.
Oh, cool.
Just a phenomenal singer.
Awesome.
And we'll be watching something at a show or on TV, and somebody's singing, and she just goes, "She's flat." I'm like, how do you know this? What? Okay. So, she's got the ear. She's got an incredible voice.
Well, like you said too, there's flat, and then there's there's that Star Spangled Banner reharm Johnny that we were watching of that they're doing it virtually, and the singer is so out of key, and it's Star Spangled Banner, so it's like you're not there, it's rough, and the guy, and then after his head collapses in his hand.
He keeps changing keys, and he's like literally transposing live, like changing, and he's just shaking his head like so stressed. You got to check it out. Amazing video.
So there's train wrecks, and then there's just having enough ear to go that they're flat. And that's something that vocalists will be able to pick up on more. But there's train wrecks and then there's train wrecks. That one I wouldn't call that a train wreck. That just is them having fun. And if you're gonna try and sing Robert Plant, I guess that's kind of the you might as well. It's not like Rush where you gotta nail it. You might as well do your own thing and try and have fun with it. I guess Right.
True.
Singing live is not easy, especially with Tim Alexander pounding behind you and or Stuart Copeland.
Little Stewie.
I gotta say, I've never really heard Les hit a clinker with his voice. He's always pretty right on. I'm not sure if he uses. I don't think he uses in-ear monitors. I think he's on floor monitors.
He does now. He does. Yeah. I think they're all on. I don't know about Lur, but
he's exceptional. I don't know. I keep saying it, but like that note in My Friend Fats that he's holding, it's a long whole notes. Long notes are especially hard to not drift. Sharp or flat. And he's just solid on it. It's a weird interval too. It's not like a very intuitive note like that you'd think to sing over that part.
Right.
It's like very strange.
You got it, man.
Everyone says he's a great bassist. Come on, let's start talking about his vocal skills.
He can do it for sure. He can carry a tune.
Robert Plant is another level, though, I guess.
Geddy Lee.
Yeah, true.
All right, what do we got next, Frankie?
We got a really, really rare song. This one comes from Royal Oak 2005 with the Fancy Band. This is a song that Les loves teasing live, but what you're going to hear is the one and only full live performance they ever did of the song.
Cool. 2005, who's the drummer here? Do we know?
Jay Lane.
It has to be, and that's your clue.
Ski.
That's a cool bass line, but I'm listening to Jay, man. That guy's the best.
Love it.
Yeah.
So groovy. Yeah, I mean, but, Les Claypool playing Larry Graham as a bassist. If you'll indulge me, I think I remember this one.
Oh, it's yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, Glide by Pleasure.
Pleasure, yep.
Oh, it's Pleasure. You're right. It's not Larry Graham. Yeah, you're totally right.
Pleasure.
That's
But same school of sound and era, right?
Yeah. Great bass line, great groove.
I remember you guys playing that one recently.
We played it like last year at rehearsal a couple times.
I've done it with Bass Students. It's a great slap tune. It's a great tune if you're looking for just like E minor pentatonic slap funk. And Les plays it with so much attitude. The Pleasure bass line is a little bit more like reserved, but but Les is really throwing in those accents and really digging in with Jay. And yeah, it's a great one.
Yeah, my understanding, he said this somewhere, and Frankie, hopefully you can corroborate, is that this is the tune that he uses to audition drummers. So if they can nail Glide, they can play with him.
Yeah.
Better learn it then.
That and 777 as well.
Right, and
yes.
777. So, Rory, you're halfway there.
Halfway there.
Well,
Yeah,
you got both though. Yeah, right. You got 777's tricky. But.
Glide's a little easier. It's more about that pocket though, and him and J-Ski though.
Yeah.
I love what Enor said when he was on with you guys. He said, I think the way he phrased it was just laying down in that big, beautiful bed of the pocket that is J-Ski and Les when he joined Frog Brigade. Right. And it is something to be. It's pretty remarkable, honestly, and getting to see Jay with Les at that same tour, probably, Luke, because they played that at the show that we were at too.
I think they did.
Just such a. I mean, it's just such a killer rhythm section. I mean, I love Les with all his drummers, but something special there with J-Ski.
Yeah, he never plays, a straight beat. He's always doing all kinds of stuff, and it's really, really fun to listen to.
Me and Rory used to have a joke when we were kids that Jay Lane's drum kit was only hi-hats.
It's a giant hi-hat cymbal.
Like, the floor tom is like a really big hi-hat. Like, but, I mean, just clearly, I mean, we love Jay-Ski, so, but his hi-hat playing is so intricate and wild. And Rory, I don't think you mentioned, Les was getting into it, but I don't think you told this story on the podcast of when we got to hang with Jay that time. Lespecial played a show. J-Ski was playing in the Golden Gate Wingman. It was like some Grateful Dead thing. But
we were in Denver, yeah,
in Denver, Colorado. We hung out with him in the green room after, and we were kind of like waited. He was super nice, and he really we covered Groundhog's Day, and we did like the jam that he used to do with Les. So he picked up on that, and cool guy, and having a talk, and kind of waited for the moment, and then we were kind of like, so what happened? Like, why'd you leave Primus? And the way he described it, he's like, me and Les were almost too tight. Like everything that he would play, I would replicate on drums. He's like, we were so tight musically and just as friends. He's like, Tim brought in this kind of like friction to it and this militant style that would go against what Les is playing. Yeah. And that's that dynamic that became the ultimate Primus, But that's but obviously Les loves playing with him, and that inner tightness is evident every recording, But I always thought that was interesting, and we heard that when Jay came back into the band too, just how different they are.
Yep. He goes in detail in our conversation with him that'll air soon about that push and pull.
Oh, Jay does.
Of Tim Alexander. Yeah, he talks about it at length. Yeah. Really cool stuff.
Cool. I'm sorry. I hope I didn't spoil the story then by telling it before Jay does.
No, not at all. I think this next one you're going to get right away. Is that right, Frankie? They're going to know this.
Yeah, this is going to bring back amazing memories for all of you. Les Claypool himself has called this one of his favorite songs of all time, and he has performed it with almost all of his side projects.
Oh, cool.
I have to fade it out now because if I don't, I'm just going to let it play for all 13 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Johnny? Oh, man, you guys got it.
Should we see if we can actually play it? And if we think,
I don't
think it's going to work.
Try and do the 440. If it sounds
Here, you
bad,
guys
Josh
try to
can
play. I'll start.
Hold on, no. Let John start and let me come in with the bass. Just play the 440.
Okay. All right. We're gonna see if this works.
Right. We'll see if it
I've
works.
never
If it doesn't,
jammed on
we'll
Zoom
cut it.
before.
Special Zoom jam. Take one.
Yeah, I guess
Nope.
it doesn't work.
Doesn't work.
Hilarious.
A little bit of lag there.
We're sounding like immigrant song.
That's hard though. So.
Yeah. Jungle Strip.
Yeah. That's a
Taylor
great one.
Genji. Yeah, that you guys showed me that song via Primus. I think I heard I think I heard the Frog Brigade version before the Crimson version, even maybe.
Do you know what song King Crimson was inspired by for Tela Hungingit?
No.
Oh,
Oh, no.
E Simbra by Talking Heads.
Really?
I didn't know that.
Wait, what Talking Head song?
E Simbra.
Okay, I got to check that out.
Yeah, I don't even think I know that song. I'm gonna have to look that up.
Wow. Now this
And it was in
recording
blue?
of
Right.
D&G,
Must have been.
this says Washington D.C. 930 Club, but that sounds like early Frog Brigade. Am I right, Frankie?
It's early Frog Brigade, definitely. This is from Washington. Yeah, it's 930 Club. It's when they were doing the full Animals album.
Okay.
Oh, this is like their
Wow.
first run then across the country.
First run.
Wow.
When
The way
Pigs
that you
Fly
can-
by Pink Floyd.
The way you can judge how early it is if he does dueling banjos at the Thala break or not. Like on Live Frogs, he doesn't. Live Frogs, which is on Spotify now, recently within the last year, which is so awesome. I have to shout out you guys too in the podcast. You guys give a lot of love, and Tim does too, to the Sausage album.
Yeah.
Riddles Are Bound, which is an incredible album.
Yeah.
And then when you listen to that album, you go and listen to Live Frogs 1. It's just like Sausage with a bigger band.
Yeah.
It's all of those awesome songs, but just kicked into into the next gear, like with Jay Lane and Enor and Jeff Tremente on keys. But that opener of Thala is just, whoa, it's so powerful. But we used to always watch the Bonnaroo 2002 DVD where Herb's playing drums,
Yeah.
and they do Thala, and that's where Les does the iconic, just like goes right into it. And whenever I listen to Live Frogs, I'm like, no dueling banjos, tease. I need that dueling banjo.
Have you guys ever heard the backstory from that movie scene?
No.
I'm a big Deliverance fan. I prefer Southern Comfort, but I like Deliverance as well.
It's really, really fascinating.
He's like a real kid, right? That just like lives.
He's a real kid. Like, the director went to a school, searching for the ideal boy for the scene, and he saw that child, and he was like, perfect. Like, that's the guy, because he thought that his face was ideal for the character. The problem is that, of course, that child had no clue how to play banjo. So he was on the chair, and they had a professional banjo player behind him with his arms inside his jacket, playing banjo throughout the entire scene. And the child just had to be there, for his face.
Frankie dropping knowledge tonight.
That's awesome.
That is so cool. What a crazy, weird, creepy scene.
I heard that somewhere recently. Did you learn that recently, or have you known that for a while, Frankie?
No, I've known that for a while because when I researched the movie because of My Name is Mutt, I decided to watch it, and I was so impressed by the scene. It was so compelling and so striking, particularly after. I don't know if it's before or after that scene. I think it's before, right, when they are passing through the river, and the child stares at them from above. The way that he stares at them is so...
it's such a creepy shot.
Yeah, it's so
and then
creepy.
when he sees the kid later, and he's like, hey, remember me? And he's playing the banjo, the kid's just staring at him. You're like, oh boy, yeah.
Yeah, it's really compelling. So I every time that I like a movie, I always do the same thing. I go to IMDb and I read all the trivia about the film.
Oh, I'm an IMDb whore, dude. I'm like, even just watching the movie, I'm just reading the trivia page. Yeah. 100. You should check out Southern Comfort, Frankie. It's a lesser known movie than Deliverance, but I think it's the superior Cajun swamp horror.
Cool. I will check it out.
Yeah. Great movie, Southern Comfort. Anybody should.
Okay. Before we go on to the next one, I have to tell you guys, for about the past 15 years, I've been putting fake pieces of trivia on IMDb, and haven't been kicked off yet, so be careful.
Are you serious?
Well, no. But
oh man, I was gonna be like, that is so awesome.
Actually,
just make up something.
I did do that on for many years on Yahoo Answers just for the hell of it, and I built up quite a portfolio of stupidity that people were like, "Thanks for the answer," and it was totally wrong. Those are the days. All right,
you're a trouble starter, Josh.
I am. Well, we got a good one next, Frankie. Tee it up.
Well, this one is an extremely rare cover. It's a total one-off, and it's from the first ever Frog Brigade performance in 2000 at Calveras County, famous for having two drummers, Tim Alexander and Jack Irons, on stage at the same time. I'm not going to reveal the identity of the cover. I want you guys to be pleasantly surprised.
Cool.
Immigrant song. Here we go. Rory knows it. You are carrying the day, Rory.
Satori and Tangier, baby.
Yeah.
More
totally.
Crimson.
That's off beat, right?
Right.
Yeah, I knew it was a track off beat. I forgot the name. Wow, that is dope.
And what's cool about that is that when Crimson played that live, Bill Bruford, there'd be two drummers. Like Adrian would go play a drum set in the back.
Oh, no
And he
way.
would be holding down a groove, and Bill Bruford would be going crazy. So that's a cool live feature.
Didn't the new King Crimson lineup that came back, didn't they bring this song into rotation?
I don't think they did this one. They did bring some 80s tunes into the lineup.
Like obscure beat ones. I feel like they might have done that at a show.
I don't know about this one, but they did bring some stuff back for sure.
What year was that, Frankie?
The Beat album?
No, sorry, that.
The performance is from 2000.
Yep.
That's the first Frog Brigade performance at the Mountain Air.
It was the first one.
Absolutely first.
Oh, wow. I think I had that one in my Winamp.
Nice.
Yeah, that's so cool that it's so cool that Jack Irons and Tim on double drums.
Yeah.
I wonder if they just did a bunch of Crimson and it was and Thala was the one that just kind of stuck, and
yeah, maybe because this was a one-off. It never came back.
It's too bad because that is a great tune and that would be so much fun live to see Frog Brigade do that.
Yeah. You guys are pretty into Crimson, so maybe you will be able to answer this. Apparently, the title is based on Satori in Paris by Jack Kerouac, but the King Crimson one is Sartori instead of Satori. Do you know? Do you have any insight behind that?
Well, the album Beat, it overall is an homage to the Beat Generation, to Jack Kerouac, Neil, Jack and Me, Neil Cassidy. Right. That's the first track on there. So it's all about that, it's very much the Beat Generation. So that would make total sense. The misspelling, I'm not sure, if that was intentional or maybe kind of having a joke at the kind of pseudo intellectual vibes that were a part of that kind of generation a little bit too. I'm not sure, but yeah, that would make sense. Everything on that album is in that theme.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't know. There's someone associated with their camp called David Satori, so it could be a reference to him.
Oh, nice.
Satori in Tangier, that's the only thing I could think of because I remembered hearing his name on the DGM website or whatever. Discipline.
That would make a lot of sense.
Music.
I think we just figured it out.
Yeah.
Cool.
Have you, Frankie? Did you get a chance to see, or Josh, you as well, that newer King Crimson lineup from the past couple of years, the one with the 3 drummers, 9 members?
I heard of it, but I have not been keeping up.
No, they played 10 shows in a row in my country, but I didn't go.
Gotcha. Yeah. If they were supposed to tour obviously last year. If you guys ever get a chance to check that out, you should.
Right, unbelievably good. Your boy Robert Fripp up there just still killing, dude. And Tony Levin on bass and the dude on flute, and the 3 drummers in the
Mel Collins.
Mel Collins. Yeah, really unbelievable, and it just proves that King Crimson literally is just timeless.
This next cover is from a band that's got quite a catalog as well, and this is our last cover. And so far, you guys are doing really well. But if you can ace this, you pass the test.
Okay. Yeah. So this is a really, really beautiful thing that happened at a Claypool and on Delirium show in 2016 in Philadelphia.
Back into the sea.
I like it.
The mollusk it lingers with its wandering eye.
Doesn't
So
happen
let
often enough.
Baldy singing? It didn't
Let
sound
Johnny Let Johnny take this one. Go ahead,
It
John.
didn't sound like Sean singing there. Was that Paula Baldi? Did he have a drum mic back there?
No, it was actually...
Dean.
Can you guess?
Dean? Was
Yeah.
it Dean?
That was Diener.
Dean Ween sat in.
Oh, it was when he sat in. Okay, 'cause
Well-
he also played Southbound with them.
But was it Dean sitting in with them or Les sitting in with Dean Ween group? Because at the show I was
that happened.
on tour,
That happened twice. This was
Yeah.
actually Dean sitting in with
Okay.
Claypool and on Delirium.
Gotcha. That's cool.
Cool.
Yeah, at the show I was at the Capitol Theater, probably the same tour. Les came on with the Dean Ween group and played that same song with them.
Yeah, he must
Love
really
that
love
song.
that song because he's jumped on stage with Diener and Ween or different incarnations for that tune.
I love that like Casio tone. It's so nostalgic and cool. I love how they layer different instruments and stuff.
You know,
I'm not the biggest Ween fan. I'm sorry to any Ween fans listening. It's not really my thing, but I have heard that, and that is really cool. And I know that Les is tight with them, and I hope we still get that fishing show.
Luke, get the hell out of here.
yeah.
I love Ween. I can't say I'm a huge fan, but they have a ton of records. But I love Quebec.
Yeah.
You know, there's some really every song on that record is
Quebec is cool, and
amazing
I
song.
Chocolate and Cheese was a big one in high school. I just like saw the Dean Ween band play in Boston, and I was just so confused. I was like, this just sounds like a bunch of like drunk dads at like a cookout. Like, I just felt like I didn't get it.
No, I think you nailed it. You get it. That's the vibe.
Right?
Mutilated
okay.
Lips, though they have so many like Beatlesy sounding amazing various recordings. Like Quebec goes from like weird electronic trancey experimental tracks to like really well written like pop rock tunes. Like it just runs the gamut. So that's something I've always liked about them. Also how they like don't take things seriously. They just sometimes when they write a song, it seems like they're trying to make them each other laugh and just like right, let's try to sound like a shitty punk band, like go and like that. There's sort of a freedom in that when you sort of you're not trying to uphold your band's brand necessarily or like do your sound, but you're just having fun and like trying to record a certain type of track.
That's true. They're not afraid to just try totally different genres and sounds, and that's definitely respectable.
And I think that's their strength is they're so in tune with what they listen to, so they must listen to everything. And then they say, "What would it be like if Ween did a Michael Bolton song or whatever?" And they know how to translate it because they know how those songs are structured and know how to create them. And that's what's impressive to me is how they are genre bending chameleons of their own creation. I'm a huge fan.
That's a really good point.
Sort of meta.
Yeah,
the
very
way
much
they
so.
frame it. Wow, that's cool. I never knew they covered that.
How can you tell somebody is new into the world of Primus or Les Claypool? I remember when this video was uploaded to YouTube, I read the comments, and at the end of the performance, Les Claypool says,
I have no idea. Oh, Frankie, did you freeze?
We lost Frankie.
Oh, I thought he was
me.
prompting us. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
At the end of the comments, that's where we lost you when you said at the end of the comments.
He's still frozen.
Oh, no.
Frankie,
Has this
don't
happened before?
say it ain't so, Frankie.
We're never going to find out what he says.
It's a cliffhanger here, man.
Oh,
Frankie's gone to Hollywood.
Stay tuned for part 2 when Frankie reveals what Les Claypool said. I just appreciate that we were all hanging on his words, and then he was
Here he
gone.
is.
He's on a different device. He's on a different device now.
Yeah, there was a power out.
Oh, the timing was phenomenal, though, because
the timing
Les
was fantastic.
Claypool said, and then we were just looking at your frozen face for 30 seconds.
We were all like just waiting with bated breath, like what did he say?
Wow, it must be monumental if he's pausing this long. What is he saying?
Yeah, Les Claypool said that was Steve Ween, and there were a bunch of people in the comments section really pissed off saying things like, what a lying sack of shit. Why did he just say that? I guess when people are new to the world of Primus or Les Claypool, his humor might be, a little left field.
I know how that goes. Like, I definitely like to confusing the audience. Like one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah.
Like we did. We played a Fish after party in New York City at this venue, American Beauty, a couple years ago. And I have this joke about like when Fish plays MSG, it's like the jam band gladiator showdown of New York City. Like every band is playing at a different club, and it's come to my world. Well, I'm going to cover this song by Fish. I'm going to cover this. And for me, I was like, why are we doing this? Do we have to do these fish after parties? But so we play. It was a fun show and it was packed. But I was like, we have a very special guest for this next one, and I'm like, very special, and everyone like kind of started paying. I'm like, ladies and gentlemen, Trey Anastasio, and like just pointed to the side, and everyone's like, oh, and I was just like, oh, never mind, no, sorry, never mind. And we like went into like a shitty fish cover.
Mr. Trey Antipasto.
Maybe I get that from Les. I'm a big fan.
I think that's great. I think you should do that more often. That
I do.
That speaks to me very.
Ween. That's
very...
pretty funny though. Steve Ween.
Well, I think you guys passed the test. You guys did really well at these covers, and thanks for talking us through them and guessing right. Some of them only played once, so right on, guys. Johnny, it sounded like you have something for us.
Yeah, so there's another very special trio that we hold very near and dear, avant-garde trio of musicians called Medeski, Martin, and Wood.
Oh, yeah.
MMW, with the very renowned keyboardist John Medeski, Chris Wood of the Wood Brothers, of course, and Billy Martin, our buddy, the drummer. They, around the same time we were going to see Primus all the time, well, we still are, but in high school, going to see Primus, we were also going to see quite a lot of MMW. Both bands, huge influence on us, our improv, our sound, and their ability to defy the laws of tradition. They actually played together. Les Claypool played with Medeski, Martin, and Wood at the Jammies, which was a New York City jammy, like kind of awards for the jam band scene.
This sounds familiar.
I just saw it once in like Relics magazine, and then never heard anything about it again. Never saw a recording or anything. And I want to know, Frankie, it's pretty obscure, pretty hard one. If you've heard of this, if you know what song they covered together, and if you think there's a way we can find a recording of it, because to hear MMW jam with Les Claypool would be just totally dream affirming for us and very surreal.
Yeah, wow, that sounds
Toasterland.
That sounds amazing.
Is that the one where Les is wearing like a black turtleneck and a gold chain?
Oh, that's
that's with Rob Wasserman and Jay Lane when they were doing the trio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That look is a whole vibe. But John's talked about this before. Yeah, we have no. You know what I want to say? Wasn't it like Lively Up Yourself?
Yeah. It was Bob Marley's Lively Up Yourself, and I think they did 2 jams together. The other one might have been Crosstown Traffic by Hendrix, because I know Medeski used to cover that a lot, but I'm not positive. But I think they did 2 songs together. If there's any way we can dig those up, that would just be so phenomenal to hear. It's so cool to know that Les has even heard of these guys, and vice versa. Like that bridging those 2 worlds is just fascinating to me.
Frankie, you've got an assignment.
Yeah, totally. I'm gonna see what I can find. It sounds really fantastic. Actually, that Jam Cruise 7 brings back memories for me, because I remember just one afternoon going through the archives, and I noticed that Les was on that, and then I read the description that said Jam Cruise 7 went down from January 4 to January 9, 2009, leaving Fort Lauderdale, heading to Belize, Costa Maya, Mexico, aboard a luxurious ship. And for a moment I was bummed out, because I was like, did Les actually perform in Mexico and I wasn't there for it? But then I was like, well, he was on a ship, and who knows if he was in Belize when he performed, so it doesn't really count. So yeah, I got over it quickly.
6 miles out is international waters or something, so you're fine.
Yeah. But yeah, that sounds incredible. I'm definitely gonna look it up and see if I can find something, because it's certainly historical.
They're both huge influence on us. And Medeski, Martin, and Wood, they don't have a guitar player. It's like organ, bass, and drums. So it's a very different sound. And to hear that they played together is just so cool. So I would be forever grateful if someone can dig that up. I mean, even this podcast today, I realized I got to do my homework. I got to go listen to Isley Brothers. And
I got a whole list of shit here.
Yeah, for sure.
Ars Mechanics. I can't wait to hear it.
I'm on.
Right on, guys. Hey, lespecial gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for Coverpalooza. It really was a palooza, because it kept going and going and going. This is what happens when you let Frankie run the podcast for once.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us
today.
Yeah, thank you guys. This is super fun.
Right on.
Thank you for the knowledge, and thank you for keeping that compendium of Primus analytics and knowledge going. It's just fascinating. It's great to talk about it. And to hear
Thank you, guys. It was amazing speaking with all three of you together.
And yeah, Frankie, great job today, man. That you really dropped some cool ones that I hadn't heard before, some I hadn't heard in a while. And if anything, we've learned Primus and Les Claypool pick challenging, cool-ass songs to cover. So
yeah, from all kinds of genres, all kinds of artists. It's really amazing.
It really is. Thank you guys so much for having us on. This has been a blast.
Absolutely. Broaden your horizons out there, everybody.